It is before sunrise in ancient Rome. The city sleeps, its stone streets empty, the only light flickering from scattered torches that cast long, dancing shadows. A cinematic fog drifts through the alleys, muffling all sound, creating an atmosphere thick with anticipation and dread. As the first hint of dawn touches the horizon, the scene shifts to a misty riverbank. Here, the silhouettes of Roman soldiers stand guard, their forms dark against the pale light. Near the water's edge, a heavy sealed leather sack rests ominously on the damp earth, its contents a mystery shrouded by the morning mist. This is the stage for one of Rome's most horrifying rituals, a punishment known as Poena Cullei *, the penalty of the sack. A close-up reveals an ancient legal inscription, its Latin text carved deep into stone. Dramatic shadows move across the words, highlighting phrases of condemnation and retribution. The camera then descends into a dark, torch-lit corridor, a subterranean passage that seems to lead into the very heart of Roman fear. It was a punishment reserved for the most heinous of crimes, a testament to a justice system that was as brutal as it was complex. To understand the Roman world is to understand that justice was never blind. It was a reflection of power, wealth, and status. The Romine Forum in the full light of day was the vibrant heart of the Republic and later the Empire. Here life unfolded in a grand spectacle of commerce, politics, and law. Citizens in togas debated philosophy and policy, while senators, cloaked in the white of their office, deliberated the fate of millions. Yet, beneath this veneer of civic order lay a justice system deeply fractured by class. A symbolic split screen tells the story. On one side, a wealthy patrician, a senator, stands on elevated steps, bathed in favorable light, a figure of authority and privilege. On the other, a slave, chained and cast in shadow, represents the vast, disenfranchised population for whom justice was an entirely different concept. The law did not apply equally to all. For a member of the upper class, the *honestioris*, a conviction for a serious crime might result in exile. We see a lone Roman man, his face etched with grim acceptance, carrying his few belongings as he walks out of the city gates at sunset, banished from his home but his life intact. For the lower classes, the *humiliores*, the same crime would warrant a far more terrifying fate. The heavy gates of the Colosseum grind open, revealing the dark maw of the arena. Inside, unseen but implied, are wild beasts, their growls echoing in the shadows as guards hold heavy chains. This was *damnatio ad bestias*, condemnation to the beasts, a public and agonizing death sentence. Roman justice was not symbolized by a blindfolded figure. It was a system with its eyes wide open, acutely aware of who stood before it. In a hall of judgment, a statue of Lady Justice stands, but her eyes are uncovered, her gaze fixed and calculating, her scales tipped not by the weight of evidence alone, but by the weight of coin and the color of one's toga. This was the brutal reality of Roman law, a tool not just for order, but for reinforcing a rigid social hierarchy where one's birthright could mean the difference between a new life in a foreign land and a final, bloody spectacle in the sand. The Roman Empire, a civilization renowned for its engineering marvels, legal systems, and military might, also harbored practices of profound darkness and brutality. Beneath the veneer of law and order lay traditions designed to instill terror and enforce obedience, shadows that stretched long and deep across its celebrated history. Among the most chilling of these were the concepts of Homo Sacer and the military punishment of decimation, each revealing a different facet of Roman ruthlessness. These were not mere acts of violence. They were institutionalized rituals, woven into the very fabric of power and control. An ancient parchment unrolls, its Latin script illuminated by the flickering flame of a torch. It speaks of a law both archaic and terrifying, the law of Homo Sacer, the sacred man. This was a sentence unlike any other. A person declared Homo Sacer was stripped of all rights, cast out from the protective embrace of Roman law and society. Their life was forfeit, yet they could not be formally executed or used in religious sacrifice. They were simply killable. Anyone could end their life without fear of legal consequence, as if extinguishing a flame that had no right to burn. This status created an outcast, a living ghost haunting the edges of the civilized world. We see a lone figure, cloaked in muted, earth-toned robes, standing just beyond the formidable stone walls of Rome. He is symbolically and literally an outsider. Within the bustling city, he becomes invisible in the most horrifying way. As he navigates a crowded street, the citizens of Rome, vibrant in their colored tunics, subtly part before him. They do not meet his gaze. They offer no acknowledgement, only a silent, instinctive avoidance. The air is thick with a psychological tension, his isolation amplified by the soft, echoing sound of his own solitary footsteps on the stone-paved road. He is a man erased from the community, a pariah whose very existence is a burden. This erasure is made brutally permanent as a chisel strikes stone, chipping away a name from a public monument. The dust falls in slow, deliberate motion, a final, symbolic act that wipes his identity from the annals of history, condemning him to an unremembered death. As dusk settles, casting a golden, heavy light across the arid landscape, a Roman legion marches in perfect, disciplined formation. Their synchronized movements speak of unity and power, the backbone of the empire's expansion. But this same unity could be shattered by a punishment of unimaginable cruelty, decimation. Reserved for units guilty of cowardice, mutiny, or catastrophic failure, decimation was a lottery of death. The legion would be divided into groups of 10, and the soldiers forced to draw lots. The one who drew the short straw would be executed by the other 9. It was a brutal method of restoring discipline by turning comrades into executioners, shattering bonds of brotherhood with a single state-sanctioned act of murder. In a tense, circular formation, soldiers stand with their faces obscured by shadow, the dying light heightening the grim atmosphere of the impending ritual. The emotional weight of the moment is palpable, a silent testament to the dread that has fallen over them. A close-up reveals a soldier's hand, slick with sweat, gripping the hilt of his gladius. His knuckles are white, his muscles taut with fear and anticipation. He is not just a soldier anymore. He is a potential victim and a potential executioner. Later, as night blankets the camp, the survivors sit around silent, smoldering fires. There is no conversation, no camaraderie, only a profound, suffocating silence. The air is thick with the ghosts of their fallen comrades and the horror of what they were forced to do. This was the price of Roman discipline, a chilling reminder that the legion's strength was forged not only in loyalty, but in absolute, unrelenting fear. The most sacred women in Rome guarded the eternal flame. Their purity symbolized the survival of the state. If a Vestal broke her vow, Rome could not spill her blood. So Rome chose another solution. She was not executed. She was sealed away, so Rome could claim innocence. Rome gave the world roads, architecture, governance, and one of history's most influential legal systems. It promised order through law, but beneath that promise existed a hierarchy of protection where some lives were shielded and others were exposed. Some punishments were public warnings. Others were quiet corrections. Some citizens faced exile. Others faced erasure. Rome did not merely punish crime. It defined whose suffering mattered and whose did not. Rome built one of history's greatest legal systems. But the question remains, who was it actually protecting?